Hello all. Alright, today we're going to continue on with the discussion on methane that we've done before in the past. There's been a few new pieces of information. First of all, let's go over to the NOAA website and look at what methane, the latest measurements on methane are. Second of all, I wanted to talk about, we know that methane is an up-and-coming greenhouse gas. And we know pretty much where it comes from. Cows, for instance. If you're eating meat, you're contributing to a large portion of methane. If you eat anything off of farmland, you're contributing to methane. So apparently humans have no choice but to make methane. Not only do they make it by what they do, but they make it inside the way cows do and contribute to the methane problem. But if the populations are low enough, like 1 or 2 billion, it's not going to make any difference. But 7 to 8, 9 billion people, oh, that's going to make a difference. So we know that cows make methane. We know that global climate change in the heating will cause methane to come up from the oceans and the northern and the southern parts of the poles as it warms up. But there's one thing that we're just not getting yet. Let's go over to the board. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, we'll have to draw this out. Planet Earth. Methane. What does it look like? It seems to go from one hemisphere over to the other hemisphere, winter and summer kind of thing. So let's say it's over on this hemisphere today. This is what it looks like, if you could see it. Okay, so this is sort of what methane looks like. And we saw this through the NASA information before they took it down. And they actually were able to photograph methane using various tricks of satellites and all. But what they found, instead of being like this, like a cloud, you know, the way water vapor forms when it makes clouds, methane tends to be up and down and in very tight areas. It seems to all move together at once like the northern lights, and it sticks on one side or the other of the planet, one hemisphere, where the other one has much lower amounts of methane. So down in the description area I have 2 videos to watch. I need you to stop this video right now and go watch video number 1. Pretty amazing stuff. Then come back and finish this video. Alright, as you can see, methane is a combustible. Unlike CO2, which is not combustible. You can put as much CO2 in a balloon and it will never explode. If you put a little methane, or what we call natural gas, fuel that heats homes and businesses, generates electricity, excellent gas for use of making heat. But this gas is a combustible. If you put it in a balloon and lit the balloon, it would explode, right? As you can see, it's a pretty fierce gas. It's nothing you want to mess with. It's sort of like a blowtorch, as you can see in that video. But let's go up and do a walk, and let me talk to you about the subject that nobody has gotten yet about methane and how important it really is. So the thing I'm going to focus on today is the combustion point of methane. What and how is that going to work? Does methane have a parts per billion point of combustion? Does that make sense? Or do you need parts per million to ignite methane? I couldn't find out what methane ignites. I got the temperature. So the boiling point of methane is minus 257 degrees Fahrenheit, or 161 C, but I still can't find what the parts per million is. The temperature is around 500 to 600 degrees Fahrenheit to ignite methane. It ignites very quickly and easily with a low temperature heat. So let's go over to the video number 1. When you were watching video number 1, you noticed how methane burned. You know, it was very interesting. So when methane is ignited like that, is that the way it reacts all the time? Such as if it was a huge pocket of methane right here in front of us and it was lit on fire. Would it explode, or would it just whoosh like it does when you light a fire or you light the pilot light and it has some gas in there and it does that whoosh thing, is that more like what you would have? I don't really know. What would methane look like exploding in the atmosphere? We see methane on fire in the atmosphere when we go to an oil refinery or near one. We see the flaring, as it's called. But it doesn't seem to be doing the rocket thing that we saw in the lake there, the jet kind of thing. It just sort of fluttered. So my question is, or here's my my thoughts. If methane became at a high enough parts per billion to ignite in the atmosphere, what would happen? Would a 1,000 square mile area be exploded and blown up, or superheated and killed off, or what would happen? You see, I can't find anywhere where this has happened, and I was kind of wondering, is this something we need to worry about? I honestly don't know if anybody's even studied this, and the reason I asked that is because I can't find anything on it. But a lot of information from the government has been scrubbed, so I don't know. I'm just questioning some of the experts out there that know more about this than me. But my thinking is that how far before some kind of threat like that happens? I'm walking on a very muddy trail, uphill, hard to do. So, is methane a threat in combustion wise to our atmosphere? Is there some day that it will become so high, or suddenly become so high in one area, that it would explode because it floated against some kind of human combustion source? There's stories about the Bermuda Triangle, about huge methane bubbles that come up, and there's so much methane that the ocean is it can no longer float a boat, and the boat just sinks, just shoots right to the bottom of the ocean because there's not enough water to keep it afloat. It's just a bunch of air coming up from the bottom of the ocean. Now, if one of those was to happen, as is predicted that these will happen in gigantic plumes, can they ignite? And just one more question. Can methane react to acids of one form or another, such as acid rain? Is that possible to react to methane causing another type of reaction of some sort? Because methane is a combustible, it's a whole different game than CO2. And fortunately for us, CO2 is not combustible, since it's being measured by parts per million instead of parts per billion like methane. Methane has more greenhouse gas effect by 25 times that of CO2. When methane is broken down, half of it is turned into CO2. Methane's a really bad gas to have out in the atmosphere. It's going to happen in nature, but it was under control then, wasn't it? One of the biggest threats is the orange man, who's now deregulating oil and gas and coal industries, making it okay to pollute once again, after Obama tried to slow some of it down with some weak legislation. What we needed was some real legislation, but of course the Democrats failed on all that. Just useless. That's the latest update on methane. Do a video response to a question I get quite often is, where am I walking in San Francisco? Well, San Francisco has parks all over the city, and I take mass transit and I go to a particular park and I find the trail and I do a video. And I look for the ones with the hills, really. But about half of my outdoor videos, of course, aren't even in San Francisco. When I have to go somewhere, the camera goes with me, and there's an opportunity to make a video, I take it. Listen to that. Well, just attacked by a vicious dog off a leash. I actually had to go after it to keep it from biting me. And the owner said, "Never happened before." Rain's really coming down now. I can't believe myself. I never thought that this would be our So it's getting really windy and rainy, so I think I'll put the camera away. And I certainly do appreciate all the comments you guys are leaving. They're really good. And the ups, and of course you downers, go ahead and leave your downs. And until next time.